Alright, here we go. Another one wheel video coming at you. So today we are talking all about the green thing right on top of the board, the Craft and Ride magnetic fender for the Pint. So last couple of videos I've kind of been hitting on different accessories and upgrades and various things that I've purchased. Took the fender off, wrote the fender on, did all sorts of different things. So company called Craft and Ride came out with a new fender that you can see up there, a whole bunch of different colors. And the novelty here is that it is a magnetic fender. So here's a close-up of, it's actually at the end of the ride. So the way it's secured is through 4 magnets that are on each one of the corners. And if you don't think the magnets are particularly secure, I was able to do this, which I kind of blew my mind that it was capable of doing. No tricks. This is held on by magnets, and I'm able to just pull it up. And that fender is absolutely locked on there, as if it was screwed on. There is a way you can kind of cheat this, and if you hold it in a different way, you can get it to pop off. But if you do need to pop it off, you just rip it off. But so you can immediately go fender mode, and all you basically do is put the delete in, and then screw on these 4 magnets. The only challenge is, though, that if you don't get them really, really tight, they do turn a little bit, and because there's no groove for the magnets, you got to really try to make sure they're straight on. But so it just takes a little trial and error and slapping those things on there and just get it on. And then to slap the fender on, you just put it on top and give it a couple wiggles, and all 4 of the corners latch on. And again, I just slapped it right back on, give it a couple yanks, it's not going anywhere. So in terms of installation, absolute piece of cake. You just put the original delete in, slap in those magnets, and then just slap the fender on top of that, and you're good to go. I don't know if down the line they're talking about doing like cheaper fenders that you would be able to swap out the colors easier without having to spend the $100 or whatever it is to get the fender and the magnet kit. Because that'd be kind of nice to just be able to change out the color much easier than having to buy the whole new kit, because I imagine that the magnets are probably actually the most expensive part. But yeah, so this is actually, I think, probably the first actual ride I'm doing with this fender on. And while I didn't really think there would be any actual difference in riding with it, there actually is, and it is in sound. The sound with this fender on is noticeably quieter than with the stock fender on. I only even noticed there was a noise difference when I recorded that video where I took the fender off and rode fenderless for a whole video. And there noticed that like there is a dramatic difference in noise. Not like insane, but you will know the difference, and it is dramatically quieter the second you get that fender off. So the design of this fender is noticeably different. First of all, if you look at the corners, they're those big indents, and then the profile of it is a little different. And I think those things combine to create actually a much quieter ride, which is really kind of neat. And I definitely enjoy that, having that super duper quiet ride. So my mission tonight, actually, was bringing me out here on this ride, is I'm going to go Ralph's, getting a couple Italian ices, and pretty much no easier way to do it than on top of the one wheel. Yeah, this little like sidewalk stretch here I kind of call Bunny Burrow, because it's like, right now it's pretty much dusk, and there are little dudes that will be running all over the place, and I try my absolute best to not accidentally run over one, because that would be terrifying. But yeah, Fender. Fender is pretty cool. You know, $100 for a Fender, it's pretty expensive. I think the ones from Onewheel or Future Motion are like, what, $60, $70, something like that. So yeah, it's more expensive, but style-wise, I think it looks better. And the magnet thing is kind of cool, because first of all, it's nice to be able to slap the fender off really quick. Like, especially I'm in like kind of gross trails a lot, and to be able to rip out like all the sticks and leaves and twigs and all that stuff that get jammed in there is very nice. And then also, just as for me at least, novelty sake, it's pretty cool to just be able to ride without the fender on, without actually having to do, get the hardware out and do the swap. So that's pretty fun too. But so now this is going to be my most cinematic part of the ride here, because as the sun is super duper low in the sky, and I'm kind of cruising right into the sunset as I'm off to get those Italian ices. Oh yeah, there was I think right over here, there's like a bunny that's about to attack me. But the camera's pointing the other way, so you're mostly just watching my twitches and reflexes as I'm trying to scare them away from actually attacking me. But yeah, you know, it's always such a marvel, though, with the Onewheel, that this is all very gross sidewalk here, as you can see all the construction that I'm going over, and they, on top of the construction, it's also uphill and downhill, and it really, as long as you just keep your knees nice and loose, very, very easy and very comfortable to get over all these little moguls, and it makes for some fun, a little bit of carving session. All right, making it up the hill here. I've been trying to behave myself more and more, especially on the uphill, of really just being careful not to push through those uphills too much, because, you know, that's when you can start getting yourself into some trouble of digging the nose in if you're really too aggressive on it. Here I'm making a quick little dart across the street so I don't have to cross later on, only to discover that there is a substantial amount of construction, and I now have to ride the skinny line and try to dodge these cars. But the biggest danger with being on a Onewheel with cars is it's really that the drivers have no idea what you are. And I think I've talked about this before, but the drivers have no idea what you are and have no idea what kind of control you have. So half of them slow down so much to just look at what you're doing. I'm half afraid that they're just going to hit into me. Where I'd much prefer they just zip by me and let me just have my part of the road and they can have theirs. But the other big concern is that people then wind up giving you so much room, or they're just zipping all over the place trying to avoid you, that it seems like it's almost going to create more trouble. Oh, here's our cinematic shot for the ride. Nice little sunrise coming down, hitting the new Fender from Craft and Ride. And we're just about cruising down the sidewalk here, avoiding some people because we're full-on pandemic mode. Here is Ralph's Italian Ices, a staple of the suburbs of New York. All right. Okay, so I have secured the bag. I am heading back out. And if you're curious, I got some peanut butter cookie dough and cookies and cream Italian Ices. It's a fantastic flavor combination, don't get me wrong. And if you're not in the greater... I don't know how far Ralph's goes. Let's say tri-state area. Ralph's are Italian cream ices. So it's basically just ice cream, but not ice cream. And they're delicious. Not at all nutritious. It's all sugar, but who cares? Yeah. So the Fender itself, I am definitely enjoying more than I expected to. I like the styling of it. I like the color. This is now the... second item, or yeah, I guess second item I have. First item from Craft and Ride. I don't know if it's the first item I've ordered from them. But now I have a pretty fully souped up Onewheel Pint here, just to kind of list off all the changes I've made here. I first of all, I think one of the first things everyone should get is these the side rail guards. Here I secured the bag. There's the evidence. I got it. First thing I would definitely say to get is skip all of the future motion upgrades or accessories. Just get the board straight up and instead buy stuff from either Craft and Ride or Float Life. The first thing is those the side guards, side rails. I always forget what they're called. I got the cool camo ones, which actually has already ripped a little bit. Like you can see that screw hole is exposed. It shouldn't be. I'm not really sure why. My wife put them on and did a really good job, and it ripped. It ripped really fast. But I also was riding like a moron and kept doing a bunch of curb nudges and kept sliding the board all over the place. Probably my fault. But they're, I think, as expensive or cheaper than the Future Motion ones, and you have a lot more color options to work with, and they're much easier to put on. So big recommendation there. The next thing I would definitely say to get is the, what is that called? The float plate. So the thing on the bottom of the board to protect the battery and the hardware and get the board to slide a little better. Should be like a no-brainer for people to get if they care about the health and longevity of their board. Like I look at the bottom of that float plate now and realize that all of the scratches and cuts that are in that plastic would be into the controller or the battery of the board. So I think that's absolutely worth the money. Then if you take it up to the nose of the board, we have the Fangs from Landsurf, which I talked about in the last video. I've been really enjoying those. Not even about because of the wheels to hopefully save me from an eventual nosedive, but because of the handle. The Pint with this with the Fangs on finally has a nose handle that you can actually pick the board up with, and it's awesome. So really happy with that. And then the added security of having those wheels up there definitely makes you feel a little better about nosedives, even though I don't really want that to happen again. My shins and knees and arms and hands are finally healed, so I really prefer not to do that anymore. And then if we take it to the back of the board, I got the Cushnug High, which you can actually see really, really clearly in this shot of just how much concave and rocker is on that. First of all, how it kind of dips into the middle, but then also just how much it rises up and fans out the tail of the board to give your foot just a ton of space to stand on and get a lot of extra control here. So real big fan of that thing. That does away with all your rear foot fatigue and just gives you something nice and comfy to stand on. Yeah, and then we'll finish it off with the new Fender here from Craft and Ride, which I'm definitely a big fan of. So again, as much as it's exciting to get stuff from Future Motion, I think all of these accessories individually are better than the stock stuff I started with. So I'm really enjoying them. What I'm not enjoying is the Insta360's low light capability here, because it is not particularly dark. But you know, the sun is downer, but it's June, so real long days. But just looking at the amount of noise in this shot right now compared to the video in the beginning, it's pretty bad. I don't know if GoPro is better than that, but whatever. It's the camera I have right now, so we're going to keep rolling with it. And eventually I'll get that 360 module repaired, and we'll get back to shooting that way. Whatever. But yeah, so I'm kind of wrapping up the ride here. We got 4 minutes left on the clock until I'm back at the house. But yeah, so big fan of all the accessories. I think this will pretty much be the end of my accessory extravaganza with the Onewheel. At this point, I don't know what else I could possibly replace. I've got pretty much everything I could. I've upgraded pretty much everything I could. The only thing that's like really left right now is the tire. The more and more I start nerding out into these Onewheel forums and stuff, everyone talks about switching out the tires, whether it's about putting a treaded tire on or changing it up to a different kind of slick tire. I just don't think I have the heart to completely disassemble my board and figure out the know-how of doing that right without completely destroying the board. So I don't think I'm gonna actually do that. Here's the little preschool that I like to go cruise around in by the house, drop off a couple curbs here and there. Did that one really bad and actually lost my front foot kind of, and then had to recover it back on. So I'm gonna do a little slow down, a little skid, get my foot to be able to readjust. There we go, and we're back on. That's one of those examples also of kind of overpowering when you're going at slow speeds, and the nose actually almost clipped the ground. All right, we're cruising around. I don't remember if how silly I was being here. Looks like I'm gonna go bonk some curbs. I kind of just try to do it almost every day that I ride, just to make sure I still remember how to do it properly, because it's one of those things when you're in the flow of getting up and over curbs, very easy to do. When you're not in the zone, feels like it is impossible to do, and there is no way to get up those things. So I like to practice it up a little bit. But again, just real noisy shot here. Not happy about that at all. But what are you gonna do? So we'll let it ride out. Get back to the house, taking the back streets, enjoying the suburbs, enjoying the ride. Looks like I'm lining up for another curb hit here. But you can actually see the headlight hitting the ground. So I think what's happening is the camera's really just overexposing. Bonk. And we're right on up there. My curb nudge technically is definitely something to be desired, because really what I'm doing is timing the bonk and letting that kind of pop me up and over the curb versus kind of what it looks like the more advanced curb nudge technique, where people are doing the whole dropping the nose into the curb, and they're on the back foot and the left foot and sliding and all that stuff. And I've tried 1,000 times and it just doesn't really work right for me. Whereas all I kind of just do is just do a skid stop into the curb and then just pretty much jump. And I can get up some pretty decently sized curbs doing that. And right there, just hammered a puddle. I didn't really realize it was that much of a puddle, but it's on the camera and it's dripping off the board. But it's funny, I've never actually looked at this angle before, and you can actually see the water still kind of pouring off. So it's interesting how much water is pooled up in the board just from hitting that one little puddle. But at least gave the tire a nice cleaning, and we're coming around here. So yeah, just about a minute to get in the house. So appreciate all the comments, likes, subscribes, all those sorts of one-wheel things that I've been getting. Yeah, keep the comments coming. If you want me to be doing something specific in another one-wheel video, please request it, comment it below, and I'll do my best to jump on that. But besides that, we are wrapping it up for this video. Almost hit the cameras, the board. You know we're going to try to end up with a skid stop here. We'll see if it's a good one. Oh, and it is. We're done. See ya.